Yes, fuck me. We need tongue.
This is the Dude Loft Mountain Podcast with your hosts, Gabe, Tanner, and Tommy.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Dude Loft Mountain. I'm your host, Gabe, joined with Tanner.
Howdy.
And Tommy.
Hola.
Jesus. Are you okay?
Yeah.
You were like rubbing your head as you said that.
Dude,
It was
I
the
did
most
not sleep well.
sad hola I've ever heard.
I did not sleep well last night, so I'm still, I'm pretty sure I'm still in a nightmare right now. So,
Oh, I'm part of your nightmares?
Every day he wakes, it's a living nightmare.
Actually, I've never had a nightmare that involves either of you.
Oh, that's good.
that's
I
good.
guess.
Yeah, it's
I'm-
mainly just like my other like.
What about wet
friends.
dreams?
The only wet dream I've ever had was only about Tanner.
Makes sense.
Oh, that's,
So-
understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, Jesus, so easy to get sidetracked.
Happens so
This
fast.
is the last podcast before Pride Month is over.
I was like, it is? We're canceled?
No. I got really sad for a second.
Can you imagine if that's just how I announced it? Like, so we're not going to do it anymore. After all the hard work we just went
Yeah.
through. But no, so it's the last podcast before Pride Month is over. And I wanted to just, kind of say, stay safe when doing Pride. I know Arizona doesn't get to do a Pride anything because it's so goddamn hot in June, but we'll do one eventually.
Yeah, all of our straight friends out there, stay safe. Protect your butts.
Jesus.
Anyway,
Why doesn't Arizona have like a pride parade in the wintertime?
we
They
do.
do.
Oh, we
It's in
do.
March.
That's what we talked about last time, about how they have like two different pride parades.
Because of
and
the weather.
Yeah, yeah.
So Pride
I
Month
I
is
didn't
in
realize you were
June.
talking about Arizona. I thought that was like a different state or a different place in general.
No, it's us.
Oh.
So ours is in March, but that was like COVID heavy, so we weren't allowed to really do anything. Not that I ever go or do anything. I'm always working. But I'm assuming that we're just going to do one later on this year for Arizona. But other states got to do it this month. So that was really cool to see everyone kind of be able to be happy and participate. But so I don't know if you guys will remember this, but I used to, obviously I was in the closet at some point in my life when American Idol was quite popular. And I used to watch
That's like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Ow. Ow.
But
Justin V. Kelly. Whose side are you on?
do you guys remember a person, maybe not you, but you might, David Archuleta? He was on the,
Yeah,
okay.
I know, David. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you do?
He
Perfect.
became like a pretty big pop star after that, right?
For like a year.
Well, yeah, so did Clay.
When was the last time you heard anything from
Yeah,
David
they all,
Archuleta?
they all
last-
rid their fame for like a year or two.
Yeah.
But like David Archuleta is still like an amazing, very sweet human. And I kind of just forgot
He's the
about
guy that does magic, right?
This is American
No,
Idol.
I'm kidding.
Okay. I was like, this is not the same show. But he's fine. I was in the closet, so like I would watch the show and I'm like, I like this boy, but I can't show that, so I have to like compose myself when he's on, but I'm really just watching the show because he's singing.
And your whole family sitting around you like,
Gabe, do you have a boner?
Gabriel has a massive erection right now. What should we do about this?
No, I was like a teenage, like a preteen.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess that would be. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm like, I remember my preteen years. Lots of Tommy, come do this prop on the board. I'm like, no, thank you, ma'am. I would prefer if I could stay right here, actually.
But he finally this year has like clarified with the public that he's part of the LGBTIA plus. I don't really know the full thing.
Which letter is he?
He's just a part of it. That's all he really says in his post. But it's a really long post, and in there it's really cool how he says it, because he says like, I'm part of this group, this community, and it's been very open to me and very kind to him. He is raised conservative, and like even during American Idol, like there was interviews or things where his dad was very much against gay people, and David Archuleta.
Oh, he grew up in Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he had a hard life.
So, but
Oh, come on.
he's still quite religious, and he was just explaining how, his beliefs was a struggle for him for a long time, and it's just this whole post where it's really kind, and he understands that a lot of people, like we all, make fun of all of the letters in this community, And he's like, I understand that this is not something that people understand, or they just look at it and they're like, that's just too much. I don't care enough to do that. But for him, it was just his post of saying, I'm not anything specific. I definitely identify with this community. And he was just talking about his battle between religion and being accepting of himself.
Yeah, that's what
And
I'm reading on his Wikipedia page.
Was this recent when he said this stuff?
It was
it's
like, I think
June,
it was
June 2021.
right after we finished the other podcast and I did it. But I read his Instagram post.
Was that yesterday, the 20th?
I said June 2021. It just says that's all.
June 20. Yeah, it was this month.
But it says he came out as gay in 2014. In 2021, he said, "I'm not sure of my own sexuality," and then explained that he's a part of the LGBTQIA+ community.
There you go.
Balancing his faith with his identity. He said, "I don't feel comfortable sharing it, but felt I needed to bring more awareness to people in my same situation. Let you know you're not alone. You can be a part of this community and still believe in God and His gospel plan."
Yeah, so very good. I don't have my phone, so I wasn't able to read, so I was doing it from memory. But
you didn't want to say any greblums or anything.
shut up. Anyway, it was just really beautifully written, and like my views on religion and gay people have like softened, but I liked the way that he worded it, where it's just like, it's my whole thing with gay people and why I hate everything to do with everyone's judgment is it's kind of just, you can be whatever you want and we just got to accept it because it's none of your business. It is just the person who is coming out as whatever they are. Mm-hmm. That's who they are. And that's fine. You can do whatever, you can say whatever. It's no one else's business. It annoys me when everyone starts putting each other into boxes and it's like, well, you're bi, so therefore you cannot do. And I'm like, well, it's my business. Fuck off. I can say whatever I want. So it was nice that he, I didn't see the 2014 announcement thing. I just know that in that long post on Instagram, he says that he's like, obviously he came out to his family and close friends, but he's never like been public about it. And it was nice for him to do that because it took me on like this weird nostalgic moment where like, this is a crush that I had when I was hiding and I could never express it. And to like, I commented on his Instagram and was like, this was like really beautifully written. And I remember, like, it took me back to remembering watching American Idol for the excuse of like, with my parents, like, oh yeah, I'm going to vote and blah, 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 and call this number. But I was really just watching because I was attracted to this person, but I couldn't vocally say that or like show any interest in him. I just had to pretend like I was not watching the show while he was on, when that was the only reason I was watching, because he kind of back then, I mean, I would say that it was safe to assume people would assume he's gay. And
I'd say probably 95% of the guys that went on American Idol were probably a little bit gay.
Yeah.
And that's not me being like straight man, like, oh, you guys are singers. No, it's just most guys who are singers they got a little bit of what's the term? They got a little bit of, yeah.
I don't know what the
they're
term
gay.
is.
They're gay.
a little bendy. They're not
they
straight.
they sometimes they try to walk twice with the same foot. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I don't know what that means.
I don't know either.
Me neither, honestly. I'm going to be honest with you.
So
it's just straight man trying to quantify something he has no relation to.
The reason I brought this up is because I know that it's Pride Month, and if anyone is listening and they're part of the community, and whether you came out already or you haven't come out, I think it was kind of therapeutic to realize that I went through this whole thing where I had a huge crush on David Archuleta, could never talk about it, had to actively pretend I didn't know who this human was when he was on the show, because the family that I was watching with, they all had their favorites and they would say things, but they definitely would watch to see what I would say or do to see if I would slip. And at the time, I thought it was dangerous, but they were only doing it because they were waiting for me to say it, like to just tell them. And my mom, I mean, my dad is gone, but my mom says that he wouldn't have given a shit. Like, he definitely knew it, just wanted me to finally say it. But at the time, being told your whole life, like, this is bad, you don't want to just tell these people. Like, I just came to live with these people. Yeah, they're my parents, but I didn't know them. I didn't know how they were going to react or anything. It was kind of therapeutic to go through and be like, and now I can finally tell everyone, like, yeah, I had a crush on him. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't improve anyone's life, but it made me feel nice. So if you had to do that, I think it's very therapeutic to go back and think of all the things you couldn't do or say because you were hiding, and it makes you feel a lot better.
All right,
Unless
I'm
you're a
coming out.
pedophile, don't
Yeah, fuck
don't
you.
do what Gabe
Number
just
one.
said.
Well,
That's
they're not
terrible.
in the
Actually, no,
LGBTQIA.
if-
Oh, it doesn't go all the way down to P.
No,
No.
they've tried to get in.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, no shit.
Oh, no.
They've tried to get
Oh,
in
my
on
gosh.
the action with Nambla and all that shit. But all right, fine. I'm coming out. I have a crush on Henry Cavill.
Same, dude.
And I
Did you
mean-
see his post on Instagram today? I got
Nuh-uh.
notifications on for that, man.
Nuh-uh.
It was a paid advertisement for a supplement company, which I'm 100% buying.
Was
from
it
now.
Muscle Tech?
I don't remember the name.
I
of it.
legit. I was looking at the protein powder I use. They're basically it's like a cheaper version of Muscle Tech, which is what he uses.
Yeah.
like they like his sponsor or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sticking with this shit.
Gabe just looked at you and me talking about Henry Cavill, and his face is just like, these are the gayest two straight guys I've ever seen.
Oh, I think that
Dude.
often, but not just about you two. There's just a lot of
Well, yeah.
gayness in men.
There's
But that makes me super happy. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But it
you're-
makes me super happy when my friends who are straight are that comfortable with their sexuality that it doesn't bother them to like say weird like these things. Because this is not you guys fucking around. You genuinely love this man.
Yeah, Henry Cavill's dope.
And
Yeah.
it just makes me happy because I've lived a long time where men would never, ever express kindness to other men.
Yeah.
Ever.
they
And
just
it's-
shot him instead.
And I like how you said, like, when you were watching American Idol and you were really conscious about how you reacted when certain people were on screen because you thought saying things that may come off as gay could be dangerous, even though, like, you were around your family and they all love you. It's like, that's kind of a risk
Yeah.
in every situation. And I like that David Archuleta kind of talked about how he's religious, and that's even more of a risk because, like, there's so many religious communities out there that are, like really, really dogmatic against gays and bis and the rest of that community too.
Yeah.
So that puts like a better like a bigger weight on what he did.
We're looking
Yeah.
at you, Buddhist.
It makes me happy. Like I kind of feel at peace for him and for other people in his situation because I couldn't imagine having to do what I had to go through, but then also fear that I was going to go to hell and all of my family will eventually find out that I am a terrible human in their eyes because that's how some religious communities view it. I couldn't imagine that. But it makes me happy that there is a section of LGBTQIA+ that still find their inner peace through religion, and you should be allowed to be whatever you want and believe in whatever you want without any guilt. And that just made me so happy to see him to read it and then also be like, oh my God, this is the person who I used to hide my feelings for all the time.
Unless you believe in QAnon, you shouldn't be allowed to believe in that without guilt.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So.
But I don't think any, I'm not going to say I don't think any LGBT people
Oh, I
believe
bet
in
you
that.
there are.
But I know there's at least
I
one
bet.
outlier who I'm
Yeah.
going to hit in the face.
I bet you there are. If that
100%.
fucking shaman guy can be like his vegan hippie self, then there's definitely. It's not all just fat white
Yeah.
conservative men and women out there. It's,
There's always one.
man, I saw a picture the other day of a fucking neo-Nazi rally, and there's a picture of like a 20-year-old, 20, 25 in that range somewhere, woman throwing up the Hitler salute, and she was fucking banging. She was hot, and I was like, "That's a fucking waste." I'm more upset at you. I'm even more upset at you
Yeah.
right now because not only are you a piece of shit, but you're a good-looking piece of shit, which means you had all the potential to not be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You had none of the things where
People were actively giving you chances of
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
and you still became a piece of shit.
the people who are always the pieces of shit are typically guys who were just super ugly, super overweight, never got any pussy and was just stuck in a basement for a while, that kind of thing. That's usually is the guy who starts shooting places up or starts posting on 4chan or all this crazy shit or murdering someone. Nope. It's
the
just
people who just believe that they are above something or
yeah.
someone.
Which I mean, it's on one hand, I can totally blame them because they're an adult. On the other hand, they were raised by other adults that probably had those same ideals. But then again, I have people in my family who were raised by wonderful people who turned out to be horrible people. So it's
The cards you're dealt don't really matter.
no, legit.
It's just the water you drink.
The cards you're dealt matter until you get
Until
old
you know enough to make a change.
Yeah, until you get old enough to explore the world a little bit and kind of be a little more open-minded, like have that moment when you're like 18 to 20, 22. When you have those moments, if you're refusing to develop as a person, then it's on you. It's time for you to become the asshole.
Problem-solving skills. Like some people just grow up and they just don't ever have to figure out a problem themselves. And what happens is they, like you were saying when you were younger, echo chambers happen. And if you don't realize you've never had to think outside of your own box, you're just going to raise that way. And you're like, but what do you mean it's wrong? Like, what? This is just how it is.
You're one of the weird few like me who was born with a weird, I developed a weird sense of morals as a kid that my family used to give me shit for because I'm like still very staunch on like some of my morals and values and things like that. But so like I would be part of the echo chamber of my family just to not be hated by my family. But at the same time, I was like, this is some fucky shit. I'm like, this does not feel right. And I don't think that this is right, like kind of thing. And so I don't know. World's a world fucking place, man. So anyway,
speaking of,
said world's a word fucking place.
Oh, you said world's a world fucking place.
World's a world fucking place, man.
Speaking of kind of strategizing, to turn the tide,
I've come now to turn at the turn of the tide. Gandalf.
Oh, is that what it is?
Is that a Gandalf quote?
Isn't that what he says at the in Two Towers or something?
I don't think so.
I honestly don't
We've
know.
come now at the.
I was more thinking piratey things because the tide.
No, goddamn. All right, continue with what you're saying. I'm gonna look this up.
No problem. Anyway, so we just filmed our very first like video YouTube channel special podcast with our board game.
We got my cousin. He's extremely, extremely overweight, but we got him to fill in for me. So,
as a double, yeah.
Yeah.
And we just layered your voiceover.
yeah. But
it was a lot of work to make that happen.
Yeah. The first one's always like redonkulous. That was a long. It was like a 8-hour process when we finished. 6 or 8, something like that.
I don't know. We started at like 1, and it took us probably 2 hours before we even got it set up, and then we played for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Oh,
so close to 4.
Gandalf says it at whenever he comes back as Gandalf the White the first time to Aragorn and Legolas and
in the woods
and Gimli. Yeah, he says, "I come back to you now at the turn of the tide," and it's the most fucking badass line ever because it's like, "I come back to you now when we're gonna fucking win this shit." Like,
I love that.
Anyway.
Man.
Before we continue on with the Munchkin thing, I remember what I was going to say earlier when we were talking about Henry Cavill, which is me and Tanner are also just a little bit more gay than most people because
I don't know about that.
Well, no, just because we have
Let's not put that out there.
Because we have microscopically, but just a little bit because you and I are both admirers of like guys who like bodybuild and stuff. Like we genuinely like understand. I think I don't know if it's the work portion of it or what. But
probably. I don't know. There's definitely like an appreciation for dedication, and like you don't just get ripped overnight. Like you make a shit ton of sacrifices to do what those guys do, and I don't like bodybuilders, especially when they got that weird steroid.
Not bodybuilders
not that,
in general.
But like
I'm saying just guys,
but like natural guys that are pretty buff. Like that's cool.
I'm bringing it up because there's like a bar that we went to a couple times, and there's a bartender there who's like a big dude.
Yeah,
and he's like big dude jacked. Like where he's not like.
Are you talking about the draft?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
and I saw him, and Tanner was like, "What are you doing?" Because he's like, "What are you looking at?" I'm like, "I'm just like, this dude's fucking huge. Like you can tell, like he's put in the fucking like he's like a big dude. Like that's like scary shit right there." Mm-hmm. And it's just like this weird admiration for like the work that it takes to get to that level. So I think that's why Henry Cavill's one of our boy crushes.
That and he's like one of the nerdiest celebrities out there. Like he loves World of Warcraft. He's in The Witcher, which he put out like a teaser for on his Instagram the other day.
He's the perfect mix of your guys' type of what you think you both would love to be.
He is what I want to be.
Jacked and
everything.
nerd.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
And the accent. I mean, come on.
For reals.
Like, he has an accent?
He's from
he's
from
England.
English. Yeah.
I've never heard this man speak when he wasn't acting.
Oh, well, don't, because your fucking boy pussy's going to get all wet.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, Munchkin. We played Munchkin.
Yeah, so we played this game. It's
if Henry Cavill ever listens to that,
oh my god,
on the off chance he's going to be like, wow, these guys really appreciate. Oh, okay.
I'm going to send them. He's like, I'm going to go ahead and send them some muscle milk.
Yeah,
or
muscle
whatever.
tech.
Whatever.
I got to look it up. What product is it?
God, can you imagine? Then you would be able to say, both of you would be able to say the sentence of, I have Henry Cavill's milk.
Oh, yeah. See, not that gay.
It is muscle tech.
It is
So it
Muscle
is.
Tech,
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not milk.
Yeah, it's like Muscle Tech's like one of the better protein powders. But 6 Star is their Walmart version that's like cheaper and it's like a little bit
Look
lesser
at this
in
man.
quality.
Look how happy he is.
If I worked for the marketing team of, he does look really happy. If I worked for the marketing team of
me
Muscle
see.
Milk, I think I would turn it into a gay branding company.
a Muscle Milk.
hmm
A
It's
gay
the only
branding
one that
company.
sounds provocative.
yeah, but
So you-
Provocative's not going to get you sales. That company's going to tank if you make it gay.
And you're also gonna take
I don't know. There's
the
a lot of gay people work out all the fucking time.
no, but the
But-
market of like bodybuilders and stuff are all the dudes who are in the closet, so they're gonna stay away from that.
Yeah.
shit. Like lots of bodybuilders are the dudes who are like in gym showers after working out, sucking
Yep.
each other off.
And then there's the group that's not in the closet and they're just like gym rats who are kind of douches. They're not going to touch that at all.
I'm not going to make
And then
it.
you have the wonderful people like Juju Mufu.
I'm not
yes.
going to make it rainbow colors. I'm just going to make it a ha ha he he.
Just
to
first
gay
commercial.
people.
Come drink Muscle Milk.
Yeah, it's just going to be slightly gay.
Do you know, Tanner, who Juju Mufu is?
Yeah, he's that really ripped guy that does like backflips and splits and
he's
a bunch of crazy
the most
stuff.
wholesome motherfucker. Do you know Tom, his cameraman?
No.
So he had a partner named Tom, and they even changed his channel from Juju Mufu to Juju and Tom for a couple of years. And they just recently, like, I used to watch him a lot because, like I said, I'm a big admirer of like fitness YouTube and like strongman and stuff like that. So I watch like his videos, like Martin Lisi's, who's like I don't know if he's the world's strongest man anymore, but he was for 1 year. Like Brian Shaw, like all those guys. I like to watch their videos, and him and Tom had like a falling out for a couple months. Turned out this dude, because they owned a company together, this dude stole like over $100,000 from the company.
Tom did?
Yeah.
Jesus.
For like gambling debts and shit. And then it came out in like a because he sued him. Juju Mufu sued him. And I don't know what if there was a settlement or anything. They already finished it. But the main point was getting him to voluntarily step away from the company. But a bunch of stuff came out in the lawsuit about how like Tom like would go on these like rages for being called like the sidekick basically. And everyone's like, it's Juju Mufu's channel. Like,
Yeah.
you're the one that pushed. to have
You're
your
just
name on it.
behind the camera.
Yeah,
dude.
and then he like released this non-apology where he's like, "I took money from my company. I'm the majority stakeholder. I understand that it probably wasn't like the best move, and I made some mistakes." And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. But it's like it's been awful trying to like watch like Juji come back from it because he's a lot happier now. Obviously, that he's not having to make videos with this person who's obviously very toxic. But like, it's you can tell it like hurt him because he like Juju Mufu is like probably one of the few people where like I watch their YouTube videos and I would say like that's just a good person. Like you just know he's a good person on and off camera. Like I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Juju Mufu, and he meets people all the time. But he you can tell like in videos that like anytime it kind of grazes the subject of like, oh, we have a new editor or stuff like this, it's like it hurts him. And I'm like, oh, because like that was his friend, and it's like, you piece of shit. Like
If you can send me a link to this person, I'm intrigued.
okay, you would like him. He's called they call him the anabolic acrobat. So yeah, he's juiced to the gills, but he can do like the splits and backflips and all this shit. He's really fun to watch.
So two things. One is I feel like watching people who are like dedicated or motivated enough to not only work out, or even if they're just showing videos of how they're working out, or if they're trying to help you, give advice, stuff like that, it helps a lot with motivation if you're trying to lose weight or go to the gym or get into like that routine.
Yeah.
Because when I was, when I had gotten really, really small when I first moved here, I was always like, I had tons of YouTubers that I was only watching because they were all workout type videos or like eating correctly or what these mean, like learning about keto and how macros worked and all that. And I got to tell you, every time I felt like I didn't want to do it anymore, I would watch one of their videos. I'm like, now I got to work out. Like I really want to go work out now.
Yeah, I just recently started a hardcore workout regimen that I'm like 100% sticking to and losing a bunch of weight on right now. And I pretty much only watch Yuji whenever I'm in like workout mode. And it helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I also, so the way you think you guys feel about the dedication of an athlete, I am very much the same way to acrobatic type movements. So I think that's why I wanted to go to swimming, because I would see divers in swimming. And to me, divers and swimmers were the same thing when I was in high school. Then I learned those are not the same thing. But your training is a lot of aerobatic type of movements. And I just really like those, like gymnasts and people who can do backflips and flips and all those. Like those are just so cool to me.
Oh, then you'll like
I would,
Juju Mufu.
Yeah, I would want one day love to be able to be that athletic.
Yeah, Juju Mufu got famous because he it's all that working out, all that testosterone. I'm going through second puberty, man. But what about second puberty? Anyway,
Okay. The Lord of the Rings references today.
do you have a fucking problem with Lord of the Rings?
No, I love Lord of the Rings. It's just
They're on par.
Is that
It's
the
a
third
compliment.
one?
It's the second one.
It's the second one.
For
think.
today.
Yeah,
And the day's young, my friend.
it is.
No, but he got famous because he started out as like a trickster YouTuber, which is like people who do the flips and the barrel rolls and all that stuff. And then he had like a real passion for bodybuilding, so he started getting really jacked. And then he made it on America's Got Talent. And he did what's it called, a jerk? Like when you pull the weight up over your head, push it up, right?
Does he like pulls it up, catches it on his shoulders, and presses it?
I believe so, yeah.
a clean and press, I think.
Yeah, a clean jerk, right?
Maybe.
That's
I
what
don't
I've
know.
always heard it called.
Yeah.
But anyway, he does that while doing the splits on 2 chairs. And
he does it with a fuck ton of weight too.
Yeah, he does not fuck around. And so, but yeah, he's huge. I mean, he's a big motherfucker. I mean, he's like, he fist bumps one of his buddies in a video, and it's this big old black dude. And he fist bumps him. The guy goes, "That's a big fist," and he just starts laughing. But he's a huge dude. But he just did a video where they bought a plyo floor for his. Oh, I'm so jealous of him. He dropped who knows how much money on his own private home gym. He built like a 4,000 square foot shop.
That's cool.
And then just filled it with all these machines and weights and everything.
I would love that.
Yeah, that's like my dream. But he bought a plyo floor for it, which is like kind of like a gymnast floor, like a little bouncy. So it's got give into it, so it protects your knees and everything. And he gets on there and he's talking about how like tricksters like typically peak around like their mid-20s. He's in his mid-30s now, and he's like, I haven't really done anything tricking wise in like probably like 10 months or anything. And then he just starts doing backflips and shit. And the dude weighs like 265 pounds at least. Like it's fucking nuts. But he's
pure muscle. It's insane.
He's easily probably one of the most
just
athletic people out there.
He's just a steak with toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's like you see him with his shirt off, and the dude is jacked to the gills.
Yeah, and he has like the mobility of like a gymnast, though. He
Yeah,
can
that's
do
exciting.
crazy stuff, which is weird because if you normally think of people that are jacked and roided out, they're
Their
all kind of
mobility
puffed
is
up.
less, yeah.
They can't move their arms. They can't bend to scratch their back.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's my biggest worry about getting too jacked is I won't be able to wipe my ass anymore.
Bidets.
Yeah.
But will I even be able to reach behind me if my lats are too fucking
turn
huge?
on the button.
Like I
They
just
have
keep
some with
accidentally
buttons up
activating
here.
my lats as I'm like, ugh.
Lawrence makes that joke all the time because he's a
He's a
power lifter. Yeah. And he's just like, we may not be able to do this, but I can fucking tell you what to stretch and it's going to get the right muscle. But it's funny. But in other news, E3 just happened, and I did not know what the fuck it was because I really did think that when you told me E3, I was like, oh, okay. So it's just like a movie or what? And you're like, no, it's an announcement. What is wrong with you? What rock do you live under?
I know. I was really surprised that well, I wasn't surprised that you hadn't heard of it, but I was also surprised that Spitz hadn't heard of it because you told your younger brother about it and he didn't know what it was, right?
Yeah, he was just
Wait,
confused
seriously?
on like
That
right?
does surprise me.
Yeah.
yeah. He knows. I think he knows what it is. He just was like, I think he was confused of what I was bringing up because he's like, well, I've never had this conversation with you. What's happening?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so explain to me what it is.
But it happened last weekend. And E3 stands for like Electronic Entertainment Expo, and it's just like a big showcase where different game developers and publishers come together and just like kind of show off the stuff that they've been working on for the last year or 2 years or so. So they just show off like a bunch of reveals and like really cool games that are coming or cool updates that are coming. So it was like Nintendo was there. Xbox was there. PlayStation hasn't gone to E3 in a couple years because they've been like doing their own live stream
Yeah, there was
stuff.
a weird like exodus that was happening for E3 a couple years ago, where people were like, we don't need E3, we'll do our own thing. And PlayStation and like
drama.
some of the other like smaller game studios, like I say smaller, like non-console game studios, kind of were like, we're going to do our own little thing like across the street.
Yeah.
And like, no, everyone's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, like Blizzard's always done its own thing.
Yeah.
But Blizzard is like big though. They have
Blizzard's
BlizzCon
still,
and they do more than just games.
BlizzCon's their big one, and Blizzard also, they still have a presence at E3.
Yeah.
They just don't do a reveal.
Blizzard does Diablo, right? Mm-hmm. I love Diablo. And in one of the showcases, I think it was the Xbox showcase, they showed that they're doing Diablo 2 remastered.
Oh, really?
Which is cool, but also annoying because I've been waiting for a new Diablo game for years.
Well, they're making Diablo 4.
Yeah, I know. I just want to see it.
Yeah.
You remember? Did you see the videos at last BlizzCon or the one before it when they showed they were showing like a Diablo reveal and it's like it's a fucking mobile game.
Yeah, everyone was hyped. They're like, yeah, Diablo 4. Like the crowd's all hyped, and then they revealed it's a mobile game, and everyone's like, oh.
I know, and that's what I felt like when I watched them reveal Diablo 2 remastered. I was like, oh, I know that. I know this. It's gonna be Diablo. It's gonna be Diablo. It's fucking Diablo 2.
Yeah, and then like some guy like went up and he was like, what if I don't want to play this game? I'd rather have like Diablo for a computer or something like that. And they're like, well, I mean, don't you have a phone? And it became like this internet meme that like they were just like completely selling out because Blizzard's owned by Activision now, so they're pretty much they're being hoarded out for everything because Activision kind of just does that.
Yeah, is Activision part of Game Pass?
No, that's EA.
Oh, so why did they do like a Diablo reveal at the Xbox showcase?
I don't know. I know Diablo has been like a big Xbox kind of centered thing because lots of it was like the first time it came out on a console. I think it was on an Xbox.
Yeah,
and so that was like the big like push for it. So it might have just been like, hey, we're doing Diablo 2 remastered for X. Was it only for Xbox?
I don't know.
It might have only been for Xbox. So I think you can still download Diablo 2.
That might have been
on computer, but. On PC.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, E3 happens over the course of a weekend, and then within each day, they have like separate showcases for different companies or different consoles. And so on the first day, Ubisoft, is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft?
I've always said Ubisoft.
I feel weird saying Ubisoft.
Ubi.
But they showed some stuff which was kind of like funny. Like it wasn't good. They showed the new
Ubisoft is the king of cringe.
Oh,
like when it comes to E3 stuff, it is. I never watch it because I can't. I can't handle secondhand embarrassment, and like I just can't. I can't. It hurts me to talk about it.
They showed Rainbow Six Extraction.
Yeah,
which is like I don't know if it's an update coming for Siege or it's a standalone game, but they're essentially doing like you remember how Call of Duty. What was the one that came out on the Xbox One? The one that really sucked.
Ghosts?
Ghosts, yeah. Ghosts. And you know how they did, like, instead of zombies, they did aliens?
Yeah.
Rainbow Six is doing something similar, like 4-player co-op.
Gross.
So that's coming in. It looks kind of cool.
Gross.
And they talked about, like, a Valhalla update for Assassin's Creed. And then they showed a new Avatar game.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Which, like, in theory, sounds like it could be really cool. But then...
Avatar, what Avatar? Blue People?
Blue People. Oh. Yeah, James Cameron's Avatar. Which could be a cool game. But then I don't remember exactly what the trailer showed, but they like, you know, kind of hyped it up. So we've been working on this forever. It's going to be the most beautiful game, the most like amazing light rays and all this kind of cool graphic stuff. And then they showed a picture of one of the blue people like flying on the pterodactyl or whatever.
Yeah.
And it looks like the character model is like barely rendered in. Like the background and everything looks really good, but the character model looks like, you know, it came from the original Xbox or something. Like it looks so bad.
That happened with Halo. They did like an early like
when they first
Halo
did
like
Halo
last
Infinite?
year or 2 years ago. Yeah. And like it became a meme. Like one of the Covenant was like a super fucking PS1 looking.
It was like the I can't remember the name of that species, but like the monkey
he was
looking
like,
guys.
His name was like Gron or something like that.
Yeah.
Not Gron from Lord of the Rings #4.
Yeah, and he became a meme. Oh, that was so funny. But so yeah, Ubisoft was first, and that was on day one. And then day two, Xbox came and they showed some Halo stuff for Halo Infinite. Like they revealed some of the story and some of the multiplayer. And the multiplayer is going to be free, which is really cool.
Oh, that is dope.
Yeah, so it's like Halo's one of my favorite franchises, and I loved Halo 5, and playing Halo 5 like competitively was really fun, and I think we've kind of talked about that in other podcasts. So it'll be cool to have multiplayer be free to everybody because it'll be like a larger player base, and it'll kind of be it'll bring something different to the franchise, I think. But Xbox showed a lot of stuff. They have a lot of cool stuff coming to Xbox, which is exciting because Gabe, you and I both have Xboxes, and then Tommy, you have a PC.
I have
and everything is the same.
I have an Xbox.
Right?
It's at a buddy's house right now because I have a PC and I prefer the PC.
Yeah, so Xbox Game Studios is pushing out like a lot of cool games this year. They
Dude,
showed off
like-
Starfield. Well, they didn't really show it off. They just showed like a teaser for it, which is the new Bethesda RPG open world
If
coming.
there was,
What is it about?
Don't really know. It's just like a sci-fi thing. They just showed like a little teaser trailer. I think they were kind of forced to show it because it got leaked.
well, Bethesda a couple years ago, they kind of did this thing where everyone was nagging on them because the last Elder Scrolls game was released 10 years ago. It was in 2011, it's Skyrim.
Yeah, but they've been doing Elder Scrolls Online pretty successfully.
Well, that's
for a while,
ZeniMax though. Like that's like it's like a separate thing and everything, and everyone's like, we want another Elder Scrolls game.
I remember
And-
this announcement from a few years ago where they had revealed like a little trailer.
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
it was like
and
the big thing at
everyone-
the end of
all
last
it-
E3.
Yeah, all it was just a title. It wasn't even the title.
It made me lose
just-
my shit though.
Oh yeah, it just
I
said
heard
Elder
the music
Scrolls
and I was
6,
like, oh.
yeah, and everyone was like ripping it apart and everything. They haven't really released anything else that I know of. But Starfield, they also did one that same E3 that was just a teaser of like a space station like blowing up or something, or like being hit by a laser.
Oh
or
really?
something
I didn't
like
know that.
Yeah, and so that was like the first look at like because they were like, before we do anything else, we want to show you this. Yes, we're working on it. It's gonna be a while, and then they showed you Elder Scrolls 6, and then they came out and go, now what we really want to show you is what we really, really, really been working on lately, and it's this, and it was Starfield. And so they released a little bit of some stuff. It kind of at this moment just kind of looks a little bit like Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite games because it's so in depth, but it's basically you're basically just like a space truck driver, like kind of. But I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, and they just recently updated where you can walk around outside your ship and stuff. So, but I mean, you know, I've sunk hours into that game. I mean, so many hours, and but apparently it's supposed to be kind of like a little bit Elite Dangerous, a little bit more exploratory,
Like No Man's Sky.
like a little bit, yeah, kind of No Man's Sky. They call it a Han Solo simulator.
Yeah.
And they said that it's supposed to be way more role-playing based than some of their previous games. So hopefully there's a lot more customization and stuff like that. Hopefully they don't voice the characters and stuff like that. But you know, so I'm excited about it. I'm excited because Todd Howard is pretty excited about it all the way across the board. And if they're actually going to put a bunch of work into it and put some of that Microsoft money into it since they got bought,
Yeah.
I say fucking go for it. If
Yeah.
you
I
can
think
give me a
big things will
game-
come from Bethesda since they got bought out. But I'm also kind of like taking that with a grain of salt because every time there's been a game where they like, oh, we've been working on this for a decade. We're really excited to show it to
Yeah.
you and bring it to you, like Anthem or Cyberpunk. And then it was just, they didn't deliver, you know,
Yeah.
like both those games
I
were
think
kind of not what I wanted them to be.
I think the only saving grace with Starfield for me is when Cyberpunk was like officially revealed, they had a release date for it, and then it got delayed like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Anthem, I don't remember what the Anthem timeline was, but Bethesda is usually known for kind of doing a thing like with Fallout 4. They revealed it at the E3 in June, the same year they were going to release it that November. So everyone was like, fuck yes, because like we don't have to wait 2 years for this. We don't have to wait 3 years for this. They just revealed it that they're doing it, and it's coming out in November. It wasn't that great of a game.
No.
But so they're one of the few companies that's kind of been known for doing that because lots of companies really push it far out so they can handle expectations better. And this year, it said the trailer said it was coming out in November of 2022.
22, yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, you're giving yourselves a little bit of buffer room. You already revealed you're doing it. Now you're revealing like a little bit more about it, but we still got another year and a half to wait on it.
Hopefully they'll be able to polish it up, make sure it's
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because the big theory behind Cyberpunk is that it was fine playing on PC, but they didn't have enough time to port it to Xbox and everything, which is why it ran like such dog shit on consoles.
Anthem did?
Cyberpunk.
Oh, Cyberpunk, yeah.
And
Especially the last gen. Like, if you don't have the new generation,
yeah,
even on the last
you
one,
had to have the
worse.
newest generation
Oh, God.
Xbox,
and even
everything.
then, it was still kind of rough.
Yeah,
right?
and well, even on PC, like there was so much promise for that game. Like there was going to be custom, like every NPC you encountered was going to have their own custom routine. They were going to go through it every day, no matter if you interacted with them or not. And people were posting videos of NPCs like despawning the minute they turn a corner and doing nothing,
Yeah.
and then like respawning like at the same place
Redoing
you
it
just saw
again.
them, yeah, and like all this other stuff, and there was just that game was a if they were really working on that game for 8 years or 10 years or whatever they said, they probably needed another 10 fucking years for all the stuff they
Yeah.
promised with it.
Or just more people working
Yeah.
on it.
And it's tough. I mean, I think behind the scenes they might have gotten pushed to like, we have this next generation console coming out. It needs to be ready for this next generation console.
Yeah.
When I think developers, maybe for the case of Cyberpunk, we're like, we're not building it for that. We're building it for the next one. In
Yeah.
that case, because I mean, still,
Well,
it's like
and
the processing that game needs, and other games for that matter, are still kind of the consoles don't really support it.
Yeah, and
Too
Bethesda has said that. They've said that about Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, where they're like, we're not going to release it until we feel the hardware
Is ready.
Yeah. And I don't even I think with Elder Scrolls 6, Todd Howard has said some things where he's talked about the Xbox, was it when now the Series X or 1X or whatever? He's like, yeah, that might be the one. And it's like, okay, so we might not be getting this for another couple years.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. But like, I mean, just
Dude, it's still
everyone
so
would
hard
just
to get the
buy a
new
PC.
generation. Anyways, it's weird.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is the first time I've never bought a updated generation console.
Xbox is sold out everywhere except for like, well, what's the cost of the new Xbox? It's like $500 or $600.
Yeah,
but
I think it's 500.
when everything else is out of stock, Walmart still holds onto a couple, and they sell them for $1,000.
Are you fucking serious?
Isn't that whack?
That is super whack.
Yeah.
That's scalping. Fuck them.
Yeah. I don't know too much about PlayStation. I came across like a lot of Twitter pages that like give alerts to their followers, like when PlayStation and Xbox come back in stock, because they
Yeah.
go like that.
Yeah.
Like people are buying the consoles up
It
so
sounds like
fast.
graphics cards. Like the new graphics cards you can't get for PCs right now.
Yeah.
Because they run out so fucking quick.
Dang.
Yeah. But
I wonder why that happens. Like, I don't get everyone, like Xbox and PlayStation should know this is how many PS4s we've made and how many like are definitely purchased in the world.
So part of it is they call it, I think it's called a paper scarcity, where they generate demand for the product. And I don't know if Xbox is doing this or whatever, but Nvidia, who does graphics cards, the big fancy graphics cards that everyone wants, they've pretty much all but confirmed they do this. Which is a paper scarcity is where you basically say, okay, we know our demand. We need to have, let's say, just for an example, 100,000 units available at launch. Let's only have 50,000 available, because then we create demand, which means it's cheaper on the company's end to create that much demand,
And they
because
get
then you
sold immediately.
well, yeah, you never over create, you never do this, and you never do that. You never, and plus it drives prices up and stuff like that. So you can charge a little bit more. You can do this. It is a really shitty tactic. But so there's that, and then there's also the fact that on consoles specifically, besides maybe Nintendo, no console making company makes money off their consoles. They always sell it at a loss. They make their money off the games,
Yeah.
off the subscriptions, everything else. So it's kind of beneficial to them to create consoles to the demand and make sure not to go over, because then you're losing a lot of
But
money.
they're in this case, they're so far under that they're not like they're losing
what I'm
potential
saying is-
revenues.
If your number's 100,000, you need to have that for this, city or state or whatever. It seems like because
They're at 50,000.
they're like maybe less. Like
Yeah.
it's been a while since they came out, and
And you
people
still can't get them.
them.
Yeah, and that's kind of the first time that's happened.
It's definitely because of supply chain issues that have happened.
Well, yeah,
in the
this-
last couple of years.
this-
Well, not couple of years, but
Well, I
last
guess
year because
COVID
of COVID.
must have- yeah.
the
And then-
canal blockage.
Yeah.
That and semiconductor shortage is a huge problem.
Yeah.
And that's semiconductors are in every single kind of electronic. So when Microsoft and Sony try to produce millions and millions of consoles, like that's a lot of silicon that they need for those semiconductors, and that stuff's in major shortage. The electronic vehicles industry is blowing up, and they're hogging a bunch of semiconductors too. So it's just like as we get into a more electronic world, that is becoming more and more in need, and
Yeah.
especially now since
Their
like,
demand for that
COVID
is-
doesn't help either, because the supply chains got fucked. People didn't work. We weren't mining these things that are needed to make semiconductors. And then on top of that, everyone that was staying home was like, well, I'm kind of bored now. Maybe I should buy a new Xbox or a new computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was just like the perfect storm to mess up, semiconductors
Yeah.
and electronics
That
in
makes
general.
sense. I'm glad you explained it that way, because that makes a lot of sense. All right, what else happened? Because I know what happened, and I can't wait for you to get to that part.
Square Enix and Capcom showed some stuff. I don't think any of us really care too much about that, but they showed like Square Enix is still making Marvel games. They're doing a Guardians of the Galaxy thing. They're working on a new Final Fantasy.
They need to fucking release the full Kingdom Hearts collection for Nintendo Switch or Xbox or something else besides just PlayStation.
Cool. Yeah,
it's the full collection. I have it on Xbox. It's been released.
You have it on Xbox?
Mm-hmm. They're like their latest. It's all on Game Pass.
All of them?
All of them. I play that all the time. Even like the Super
Surprise.
New one. Even the number 3 or whatever?
Uh-huh.
Okay, continue talking, boys.
Well,
And then,
I can't remember if it's number 3, but I know that I have 4 games.
Number 3 is
there.
on Nintendo Switch, so I can buy number 3.
Yeah. There's 4 of them, and they're all on my Xbox right now. There's the one that has like 1 and 1.2 or 1.5. There's one that's like a remastered. There's one that's like a newer one that I think is just 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the newest one, which is the one I've been playing.
No shit. Oh no.
Oh no.
Xbox Game Pass won't offer a complete Kingdom Hearts experience anymore, as some games will leave the service on May 31st, 2021.
May 31st?
We already passed that date.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't turned on my Xbox in a while.
Yeah. But number 3, it looks like number 3 is still on there on Game Pass.
I think that's what I'm playing.
It's so funny to me now that like console companies are kind of doing the same thing that streaming companies are doing with their subscriptions. It's like every now and then Netflix loses rights to titles and stuff, and it gets taken off of Netflix and put on somewhere else. And now it's the same thing with Kingdom Hearts on Xbox now going somewhere else.
Yeah. And I remember when Xbox Game Pass like first premiered, everyone was like, "This is a dog shit idea. It's so dumb."
It really, people did hate on it.
Yeah, and it's become like easily because they didn't fuck around with it. Like they didn't just put shitty games on there. Like we're gonna put some badass fucking games on this, and they're just gonna be there. Like some of them are gonna be there forever.
There's such a good library of games in Game Pass right now, and especially with this showcase, everything that they showed for the most part is going on Game Pass.
Yes, I'm excited for Tuesday.
I'm not gonna have to buy a game, like in a long time. Yeah. So it's really cool, and and I don't pay for Game Pass either because I just earn it through Microsoft Rewards. So I'm just getting all this shit for free, which is dope. There was something else that Game Pass showed that I wanted to say.
D&D.
What?
Dungeons.
They didn't talk about that at the showcase, but there is a D&D game coming out on Tuesday.
Forza's coming out.
Oh yeah, Forza's coming out. They
Forza
showed
Horizon 5.
a couple new IPs, some new games that I can't remember the name of. Oh, Sea of Thieves.
Oh yeah.
They're doing a Pirates of the Caribbean update. Ooh. Gabe, you never played Sea of Thieves, have you?
Mm-mm. I was just about to ask.
So Sea of Thieves is just like
I'm sold.
It's like 4-player co-op. I think is the most people you can have in your crew.
Okay.
And you guys just get in a ship. You go kill skeletons, get treasures, try to stop other pirates from stealing your treasures. So it's just kind of like a sandbox of an ocean.
Okay.
And you just are pirates.
It's oddly. One of the reasons I like it is it's oddly realistic. Like you and your crew have to control the sails independently and have to like change the directions according to the wind and
map your course and all this kind of stuff. It's a fun game. You can easily get burned out on it, and there's really kind of no story to it or anything. Mm-hmm. But if you just have some friends and you want to play it and fuck around, it's always a good time. But the Pirates of the Caribbean thing is an update that's actually bringing a story to the game with like Pirates of the Caribbean characters, and you can play through it with your friends, and it seems like it'll be cool. They started the trailer, and Tia Dalma was like narrating it, and I was like, "Is this Pirates of the Caribbean?" And then it showed Sea of Thieves, and I was like, no, they're just ripping it off. And then they showed Tia Dalma, and I was like, it's fucking Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I was so hyped.
A touch of destiny.
It was so good. So
I can't wait to be David.
So that was most of the Xbox stuff. And then Nintendo was kind of like, meh. And then they saved it in the last second by showing a reveal of the next Breath of Wild.
I know, and that's what I'm super excited about.
I still need to play the first one.
It's on the Switch. I've been trying to play it. I'm not very far.
I keep waiting for them to put it on sale for my Switch, and
it's not
on sale. No, Nintendo's incredibly stingy with their own sales. Yeah. Like they'll put sales. Like the Nintendo eShop has regular sales on a bunch of other games. Like I got like NBA 2K21 for like $15 or something one time and stuff like that. I got like Civ 5 for like $10, but their stuff they keep pretty tight, and like bigger games too. Like I've never seen Skyrim because Skyrim's on Switch. I've never seen that on sale because I really want mobile Skyrim. But
I'll have to start chunking out some time to like sneak into the living room and start playing it because I've wanted to play
it in your room. Because starting Monday, I'm going to be playing Dark Alliance, that Dungeons and Dragons game, a lot probably.
Yeah.
Starting Monday? Tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that's when it comes out, Monday.
Monday? It's
Tomorrow?
the 22nd. Which
Well,
is,
it depends on the time, because it was like the 22nd midnight UTC time, which is like 9 o'clock
so
for us, I think.
we're -7 from UTC. So that's...
Oh, so it'll come out like 5 p.m. on Monday then.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And then you'll run downstairs, download
yeah,
it.
right after we go, play the game. No, it's already pre-downloaded. I'm ready.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I need to pre-download it then on my PC. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
this
I'll probably have to move
this
to my
game that I'm
room.
really excited about is there's these fantasy books that were like published by Forgotten Realms. The dude who wrote them, his name is R.A. Salvatore, and it's like a 35 book long series. And one of the main characters, his name is Drizzt, and it's like him and his group of characters are in this game, which is like really exciting because I used to read these books as a kid, so I'm really hyped about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll watch you play it like once or twice to see like what it is.
Yeah.
Just because I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
I'm really mad at younger me because younger me didn't read a lot of fantasy books. And like older me wishes younger me did.
Yeah.
Like because I was mainly reading like I was a weird kid. I would read like a bunch of like I like enjoy like biographies and
We've switched. We're the exact opposite now.
yeah, I know, right? I enjoyed like biographies, and then like once I went to Disneyland and got like super obsessed with that, like it was all just like Imagineering books and stuff, and like how things worked at the park and everything, and all these little like secret books and travel guides and shit. And then now I'm older, I'm like, I want to read Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
and I want to go on fantasy adventures because life sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. My cousin, he's quite a bit older than me, maybe by like 18 or 20 years or something like that. But when I was young and growing up, he was like kind of getting rid of his hand-me-down stuff to me. And so every time I saw him, like once or twice a year, he'd give me a big old cardboard box full of these fantasy novels that he no longer read. And that's like how I read all these novels.
Oh,
and
that's pretty cool.
Got
Oh, that's
attached to those characters that are going to be in the game. So I'm pretty excited about it.
That's how I got into comics. Kind
Yeah.
of. I had an uncle who gave me, bought me a comic once. It was a Punisher comic.
The Punisher comic?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was like fucking like 10. And I was like, this is so fucking badass.
So fucking billions of years ago, I was a little kid, and I used to live with my great grandmother at the time, and we would walk down to like from our house all the way down to like the downtown area of where we lived. And there was a bunch of shops, and we would go and have breakfast or lunch or whatever, and then she would go antiquing because that's what she did. She's old. And there was a comic book store that sold like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokemon cards and all this other stuff, and it was just overwhelming to me. I was like, there's just so much shit here that I don't know about, and I want it all. So I would
Same.
like talk to all of like, I'm just a kid that would just talk to these grown men who worked there, and they would show me all the comic books and let me sit there and read through it, and then she'd come and pick me up, and so I loved it. And then I never really found another place after that to like go and buy it, or never really knew how to go about getting comic books or how to get into it other than what they like let me read. And I was like in first or second grade. Like I was very little. And then an old friend of mine who we're not friends anymore, she has an awful way of recommending things to people to where you no longer want to do it. Like it's annoying as fuck because a lot of things, shows, movies, franchises are ruined because she's like, you need to do this. Like, this is it. Like, here's the book. Like, you should just do this. You should read. Like, Hunger Games, not a big fan because of her.
You're not missing much anyways.
Yeah, it's not.
I've never been on the Hunger Games train.
But yeah, I read the Hunger Games because of her. I read Twilight books because of her. I read.
Also, she's just putting you on all like
Yeah,
Just-
she just had bad taste.
the
Yeah.
tweenie.
the like
Divergent. Let me
franchises.
guess. Divergent was in there.
Divergent,
Maze Runner.
Throne of Glass. Maze Runner I actually kind of enjoyed. I never finished it though, but she didn't tell me to read those, thank
Yeah.
God. But there was just a bunch of things like these. The most recent one that annoys the fuck out of me is the Throne of Glass series. That is a fucking awful series. It is really annoying.
Never even heard of this.
It's impressive because the person who wrote it was like a teenager, like a preteen when she wrote the book, and then continued on. But when you're reading it, it's written by a fucking teenager.
Yeah.
Like, it's really difficult to read when you're an adult.
I could find myself getting annoyed with that.
Yeah, it's really annoying. But people fucking love this book. And I'm like, this is just like Twilight. It's just a shitty, really like written for dumb people to read easily. And it's really shitty writing. I hate these books. So I was never into comics after, because she would give, there's still comics in my like library of things that she gave me, and they're like dope comics. I've never read them because she gave them to me to read, and I have no interest in them because she's such an awful person. Because if you don't like it, it will never be not talked about every day.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in Pine Top, there's obviously like no bookstore there really. So all the books that I would get from my cousin every time I saw him were kind of like what I would read for an extended period of time until I would see him again. And then when we would come down to the Phoenix area, like once a year to see family for Christmas and stuff, I would bring back the books that I did read and were like ready to get rid of, and we would go to Bookman's. Have you guys been to a Bookman's? Fucking love Bookman's. For anyone who doesn't know, it's like a secondhand book and entertainment store. You can go in and like trade in your books and get in-store credit to like get more things. So I would turn in like my cousin's books that I were finished with and didn't want to keep and get more books. And then there was one time I saw that they had like a comic book section, and I picked up a couple comic books. I thought they looked cool. And I took them home, read them, and then came back again the next year and got more comic books. And my mom saw one of them that I picked up was like a Poison Ivy comic book.
Oh, no.
And she was just fucking tits out, like looking real scantily. And my mom's like, no more comic books for you. So I've only ever read like 5 comic books in my life. I think I was like in 3rd grade, and my mom was like, I'm not going to let you get those anymore.
Oh, man. Well, if there's a comic book that you should read around here that I have, it's called Sex Criminals.
Oh, geez.
And it's about these 2 people who they have sex at a party one night, and they each independently already know, but in that moment of having sex together, they find out that they are both people that whenever they orgasm, time stops for a little bit. And so like the comic starts off with them like they're like running away from like a bank heist that's like gone bad or something, and they're like in this back room fucking trying to come to get time to slow down. And it's such a weird,
that's a really funny concept.
Yeah, it's like that's what I love about comics is it's kind of like if anyone has like a weird writing idea that's just like fuck it, like let's try it and see what it does. You can just do it as like a one shot or something. Like I think there's a series. I think there's 3 volumes of Sex Criminals, and I don't remember what comic company did it. I don't think it's Dark Horse or anything, but yeah, there's a bunch of comics like that.
That's
like
funny.
there's a side of comics outside of DC and Marvel that people very rarely go to.
Yeah,
that is super neat. Like it's super cool with the ideas because that's where you get your Invincible. Like Invincible's based off a comic.
Yeah.
The Boys is based off a comic. So.
I will say, okay, so for context, for what I just said about these books being super easy to read to where it's annoying, I'm dyslexic. You will find that out when you watch the episode
coming out on Friday
of me trying to read a very simple fucking word. But if I say a book is ridiculously stupid to read,
it means a lot.
Don't fucking read it because I can't read. I can't read.
I didn't know that you struggled so much until like I was just sitting down at this table this morning editing the video of the board game episode.
And you're watching me
and
try
I'm like
to
30
read.
minutes through, and there's been at least 4 situations within that 30 minutes where you're trying to read your card or trying to pronounce it, and it's so tough.
Yeah, it's really difficult for me to read words. And I never thought that it was going to be that bad. Like, I just thought that was normal. But no, I would listen to people read out loud, like popcorn in class. Fucking awful. I was always like, what's the shortest fucking paragraph?
Yeah.
I will read it over and over and over and over so that I could just say it, like recite it from memory, because that's easier. I would memorize speeches so I didn't have to read in front of people.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah, I can't read. Like it's really bad. Is there a drug for that? Should I be on medication? Or do you just
Adderall?
I don't
just
think
don't
that'll
be
fix-
dumb. I don't know.
Oh, get good.
Rude. But so if I tell you I like a book, it was really difficult for me to get through that motherfucker, and I really enjoyed it.
That's good. Well, so when we were previously talking about books and you asked about Dune, are you going to read that or are you going to get an audiobook?
I'm probably going to. So I've been starting to do audio. I share it with 2 other couples. So we all split it for the year, and then we split the credits, and then we just buy books after that.
Nice.
Just because I would love to read. I'm just a slow reader, and it's so difficult.
Especially with bigger books like that, too. Like, you're going to
It would take me forever.
months.
I wish I was like my sister who could just read like Lord of the Rings in a day. Like, she's amazing.
Bro, Lord of the Rings was really dry, and I read some boring stuff.
Yeah, Tolkien. I love Tolkien. I love what he's created.
But it's a journey. Like that's how I kind of got
like
through
when
it.
he describes the Shire. He describes like on the eastern front they have the Brandywine Bridge. Underneath this river,
And he's
Two
very
decades ago.
geographical about how he describes things.
He's built a world in a book.
But
like,
as you're reading that, like the geography is not super important to you, and so it's just kind of like filler words that it makes it a tough read. But
it's basically
read it nonetheless.
It's like a mix between like a fiction, like a fantasy fiction novel, and a manual.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like it kind of almost
it's good representation.
It was a great book to turn into a movie. Because he describes, there's so much in that movie that are just like throwaway lines. Like they talk about the Brandywine Bridge, and they talk about like the Gaffer, like this character, the Gaffer. They mention it, but they never explain it in as much detail as he does. But it's there. Like if you've read the book, you're like, oh, that's the Gaffer, that's Sam's dad, or like that's it. Like so.
If any of you have some book recommendations based on what we've talked about, go ahead and let us know via Twitter or comment on the new YouTube channel. Again, that video is going to come out on Friday.
Yep, watch Gabe struggle to read things.
Yeah, it's real bad, guys. And I don't want to hear any shame or anything because I know that it's bad. Just leave me alone. It's just be happy that I'm trying. But yeah. Or yeah, also I recommend Audible. I swindled my way to not have to pay full price by splitting it. We should
swindle our way to getting a sponsorship from them.
Yeah. Read a book. Or just download Audible.
Hey, yo, read a fucking book.
But thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. Go ahead and check out the YouTube channel. And if you want to reach out, Twitter handle is Dude Loft Mountain. Dude Loft MTM, actually, right?
Yeah, if you just type Dude Loft Mountain into search,
it'll find
Twitter,
nothing else is going to pop up.
Yeah, it's just us.
Except maybe share.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But thank you so much for listening. Good night.